Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Sammy Leggy here representing TeamJVS, here to give you guys another movie review. This is technically a correlation of TIFF 2025, the 50th anniversary of Toronto International Film Festival, and Middleburg 2025. So, I had the honor to check out the movie Eternity. This is starring the amazing Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Callum Turner. And Callum Turner, he was actually in a film earlier this year called Atropia. It's actually really good in that. But the basis of it is you got Miles Teller and Elizabeth Olsen. They're older versions of themselves. Unfortunately, one of the two passes away. They get to the point where they're supposed to move on and have life in the afterlife. They're forever, essentially. And, you know, when they both get there, when they arrive to that point, unfortunately, there's a conflict because there was actually somebody there waiting for Elizabeth Olsen's character, Joan, named Luke. Luke was her first husband, and he has died and has been dead for 40, 50 plus years. And so he has been waiting all this time for her. But now she has to choose who is going to be the love of her life. Now, first off, the premise of this is insane because essentially you're looking at like a purgatory lasts before you get into your afterlife. And I think the way that they set up the dynamics of it is like you get to kind of figure out what your afterlife is going to be. Like, what is your utopia? What is your forever? What do you want to choose to do? And who do you want to choose it with? But at any point, you cannot go back. Like, after you've made your decision, that is it. And so the way they kind of handle it as far as like the set designs and like the different locations and shoots they have in this film is because different people have different perspectives on where their forever is. It may be in the mountains, it may be in Alaska, it may be on a beach, it may be at a volcano. Like, you just never know where a person wants to have their forever, right? And so the way they kind of handle it is there's intermediary area where it's kind of, like I said, like a purgatory, where you have like characters like Divine Joy, Randolph's character, Anna, who's kind of like the person that kind of like is the guide that can help the people along to get to their decision of where they need to be. And it's just such this weird kind of purgatory slash like roadblock, so to speak, before you get to your forever. Now, conceptually speaking, it's very interesting because it puts a lot of different questions and a lot of different intrigues about people's perspective on life and death and what they fear, what they don't. And also, like, the thing that the foundation of the film that works the best to me is the fact that you have to truly understand what does it mean to love someone, be in love with somebody, do life with someone, and have a life with someone. Those are all four completely different things, and this movie marginally sets up what those dynamics are between these three different characters, because it may have, you know, Callum and Elizabeth's character who never had the chance to have a life, right? And they may truly, purely love each other, but does that negate, right, another life that you have in spite of that pain, getting over those hurdles and doing life, having kids, having grandchildren with Miles and Elizabeth's character between Joan and Larry? And I think that it's an impossible question, but at the same time, it comes to a very interesting impasse and decision and consensus, as it were, that all the different characters have to come to the same understanding. And I think that the movie, it sets up for all these different, you know, comedy and social cues. And you kind of ask these weird questions like, okay, you're here in this state waiting for her. What have you been doing this whole entire time? Or like, once you're there, like, you know, you've lived a whole life with this person. Of course, the decision is going to be me. Like, we never would conceivably think a person would think of somebody else. But you also have to consider the fact of, how did the person feel in their relationship with you? What did you put them through? What life did you go through with them? And all those different things and themes are brought up with a very interesting script that allows comedy, fear, anger, and a lot of passion and compassion to go between these three characters in very interesting, fleeting, and yet intriguingly good ways. Like, it's a very feel-good movie, but at the same time, it's very harsh. It never tonally goes too dark. It never feels like it is harmful or hurtful. And it's some really good performances. Elizabeth Olsen shines in this. I would love for her to have had a little bit more time to comprehend certain things or aspects about her character, but I think that the way they kind of round it out is really well done. But I think that the way they handle Miles and Callum's character going up against each other and also their interactions with her brings them to a very well-rounded character. I think the thing about it is if you think of like a grumpy old person, that is who Miles' character is actually playing. But I think when you're watching, it's very jarring at first. But when you get an understanding of kind of the wisdom that he's dealt with over life, and also the stubbornness that comes with, like, you don't want to change, you want things to be exactly where they were, and you don't understand like the things that you haven't done. Whereas with Callum's character, like, he is literally a man that is perfect, stopped in time, and I think he plays that perfectly, but you also don't know who that perfect man actually is underneath all the onions and the layers. And I think that they do that really well. They do a good job from how the chemistry rolls between them. I think that there are some fleeting moments where I kind of felt like taken out of it, and I felt like it was also like overlong at times. There are certain things that kind of happen between the second and third act. It kind of was like, but I had a really good time with it, and I think that there's something special here. I do think that it was not, it's no nudity, it's no excessive language. I mean, I think it's just really hard subject for certain people that have dealt with like loss, or they are a widow, or they've dealt with a lot of different emotional pain or fleeting pain from relationships or things that just unfortunately did not pan out the way that they would have hoped or prayed. But I do think that there's something here, and I think it's worth checking out. Definitely one of the better films that I got to check out while whether at TIFF or Middleburg 2025. So I will rest this at a 8 out of 10, and hopefully you'll go and check it out and let me know what you think about it. Really good film and very interesting premise, but I did not anticipate where it was going to go. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace, people.